Ready, Freddie?
Yeah.
Hi, so I'm Virgie Rodriguez, and we're here with A Race of Your Own, where we talk about how inspiration leads to resilience. And today's guest is a screenwriter, a director, and a boxer. I started boxing because he told me I should. He currently is working with DMC on a new hip-hop animation franchise called The Microphone Savage, which we're totally going to get into. I can't wait. He's written for shows for Nickelodeon, for That Girl Lele, Young Dylan, and Sonic Boom was on Cartoon Network. He also has an episode of the C's feature For the First Time, of Us for the First Time, and I could be totally saying that wrong.
It's all good.
And then it was Ancient Chamorro was ever spoken on television.
Yeah, it's called Santiago of the Seas. It was a kid's show on Nick Jr. And it was the first time, I'm from Guam, and Chamorro is our language. Mm-hmm. And it was the first time they let me pitch this show, and it was the first time that our ancient language was ever spoken on televiation.
Oh, wow.
It was pretty cool.
Welcome, Freddie Gutierrez, to the show.
What's up, Verge?
What's up, Freddie?
We go way back.
We go way back.
Way back.
Way back into time.
Man.
Dude.
For real. But this is
and we're
so
still
dope.
here.
We're still here. And I'm like super excited because you always doing big things, and I love this.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm just a girl in the world.
Okay. Oh, whatever.
I'm just a girl in the world. Oh. Somebody told me, like, whenever somebody says something like that to you, just be like, I'm just a girl. You know? And I'm like, but thank you, Freddie.
Stay humble, because but it's all good. Yes. You do big things. I'll big up you because
thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate that, but so do you.
Oh, I'm trying.
You're always working.
Yeah, trying.
You're always working on something.
On something. That's what you got to do in this business, right?
Yes.
You gotta be multifaceted or whatever.
Yeah.
Versatile.
Multi-hyphenate apparently seems to be the phrase. And you as a writer know that. I mean, can we talk about Soul Plane?
Oh, God. Okay.
You're like, no.
It's all good. I mean, it's something I should have just embraced it, right? I should just embrace it.
Look, it's a part of your past.
I mean, yeah. And I mean, it actually opened the doors for a lot of things. But yeah, I mean, so me and my old writing partner, shout out to Scott and Wes.
Shout out, Scott.
We got hired to do the rewrites. We didn't come up with it, so I just want to make that very clear. But we got to work with you and Jesse Terrero, Meth and Snoop, Kevin Hart, obviously. It was his first big thing, and
I remember that. Yeah.
So it was cool. I mean, we got to be on set every day for that production, and I mean, we just learned a lot from being there and that whole world, because most screenwriters don't get that opportunity to be on set. It was a very unique situation. So for us to be able to just kind of see that side of the production, being a writer was like invaluable, and it was but it was also fun. I mean, how could you not have fun making jokes every day for Kevin Hart, Snoop Dogg, and Method Man? So it was, and Sofia Vergara.
Oh, well, hello.
Yeah, right.
Hello, Sofia.
And then you know who was honestly one of the dopest people to work with there too? Gary Anthony Williams. You got to get him on your show.
I would. Yeah, I loved Gary because I choreographed one of the dance scene. And so I got to work, and I didn't even, like, the stuff that he did do in the movie, I didn't tell him to do. He did it on his own.
He made me look so good in a couple scenes where he ad-libbed some stuff, and it was like, I mean, he had people crying, and it was like, that was one of the scenes I wrote, and it was like, now it looked like I did it, which I was like, I'll take the credit. But he is honestly one of the funniest people in the world. I would,
if you have a direct.
Oh yeah, that's my guy. Like, yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah, that's what's so cool. I mean, we've stayed in touch this whole time and tried to work together on certain things, and then just through happenstance, we had some mutual friends so we kept running into each other anyway. So you got to get him on the show. He's amazing.
I would love. Are you kidding me? He's hilarious to me.
He should be working more, honestly. But I mean,
he was. I forgot what show I saw him on, and he just was so. His comedic timing as like a comedic actor is just. And there's a few people that I hold up. Look, there's so many comedic actors that are great. Like, right? He's one of them, and then like Matthew Perry.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's like those two.
Those timing.
That timing.
The timing his timing is impeccable. It's like honestly,
impeccable.
It is
because it's a talent.
100, and his improv skills are.
Maybe that's what it is. The
level.
improv.
Yeah,
he's just so because I went to UCB, so I know like that kind of like the improv stuff, and like the Molly Shannons and the Tina Fey's, like they kind of have that too, which
100
not so much, but Amy Poehler, that's who I'm thinking of too. For sure. When it comes to Horatio Sands, like a lot of them, if you've watched them do improv, it's like that level time. But like Gary's timing,
it's a great thing and to be on set to watch that every day was just like.
And then you writing and then seeing him
take what you wrote and just take it to the next level. It was just it was pretty dope. Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about what you're working on with DMC. I saw you post about this and this hip hop franchise. So how did you guys, was that his thing or did you guys come up with that together?
So I met D on the set of That Girl Lele. He happened to be, that was the episode I ended up writing was with him. That first episode with That Girl Lele was an episode titled Bars, and it was about him and coming over and him and Lele meeting. And so we got on set, and I mean, that's a hero of mine. Like, I grew up, it was one of the, I remember I told him I was 12 years old sitting at the table with a Walkman writing down the lyrics of Sucker MCs and we just hit it off on set, and I had a script that I've been pitching, and which I was trying to get talent attached and talk to his manager. Shout out to Eric Blam.
Shout out Eric.
Yeah, and
shout out Queens because I'm from Queens.
Oh, you from Queens? Oh, yeah. There you go. And so we I gave him the script. He loved it, and so then since then we've been working on it. We've it should be a little further along than it is, but only because we had a one animation director that we were working with, and then things just didn't work out. But it's it's funny how when things are supposed to happen, they happen, and even though that we went through that whole thing, we ended up getting Chase Conley as our animation director now, and that dude is just. Like,
what's his background?
He's on X-Men 97 right now. He's one of the directors on X-Men 97 on Disney+.
Never heard of that.
I mean, I think they just got nominated for an Emmy.
Of course.
He's one of the most amazing animators out there that I've and the way we vibe off of, like, he's a hip hop lover too. So
nice.
Yeah, and then I got Warren Hutcherson on board.
Nice.
But all of this wouldn't have been even possible if it wasn't for our producer. I got to give a big shout out to Kimber Lim. She's basically the force behind all of this.
Shout out Kimber Lim.
Kimber is that's one, and she's badass.
Nice.
Yeah, so
nice.
So we've been kind of for the last year and a half been working together with D, and then this year we ended up doing kind of D was supposed to be on this panel at Comic-Con in San Diego.
Nice.
He got me, Chase, and Warren on there with him, and then at the last minute he had to drop out because he had a concert, and he was go make that money.
He's like,
right?
Concert, Comic-Con,
right.
Concert, Comic-Con. I get it.
But we were still on the panel, and we got to be on there,
awesome.
and we were like, got to.
Comic-Con's huge. What do you mean? You're like, we just went to this thing called Comic-Con.
It was, I ain't gonna lie, it was my first time being at Comic-Con, and then be on a panel too.
Really?
It's a little
You've never
surreal.
been to Comic-Con before?
No, I've always wanted to go, and I always get
massive.
it. Yeah, and I always get invited because of the animation. I've written in animation, so I'm part of the Animation Writers Caucus thing, and I always get invited, but I just never had a chance to go down. And then this year, because of that, I went, and it was unbelievable, man. It was like, it's like sensory overload. Like,
no, it's
crazy.
When we talk about fandom, because I've talked about fandom before too on this show, like when we talk about fandom, Comic-Con is like the epitome of any type of fandom.
100.
And there's so many different fandoms, right? Like there's fandom within the fandom. Comic-Con is fandom, but then like within Comic-Con,
all those subgenres.
It's all the fandoms.
Yeah.
I can only imagine, like, for what you're doing, do you feel like there must be some sort of niche in there that you feel like, because that would be interesting to see, like this hip hop, I'm assuming animation show, and then creating this fandom around it, right?
Yeah.
For the people that love animation and for the people that love hip hop.
Right. I mean, that was look, because I've written animation, but I'm just a fan. Like, I mean, growing up as a kid, and I because being from Guam, Being out there in the Pacific, we get a lot of stuff from Japan way before, especially in the 70s and 80s. I'm dating myself, but we were getting that stuff before it came to the States.
We're still only in our 30s.
Yeah, right, exactly. I don't know how that happens, but yeah,
exactly.
But
reverse engineering.
Yeah, 100.
Exactly.
But yeah, no. So I've been a huge fan of anime for a long time, and I mean it just keeps getting bigger. But the one thing that I wasn't seeing, and now we're starting to, but when I first created Microphone Savage, I hadn't seen. This is like 6-7 years ago. We weren't seeing a lot of people of color in these anime shows, right? And whether you're Black, Latino, Pacific Islander, or Asian, but yeah, they created it. But yeah, you don't see a lot of us or any of us like those other colors,
right?
And so I was like, well, why not? And so, and then I love hip hop. And actually, this thing actually came out of another project that I had been working on with this other group, and hip hop. They were hip hop based, but they weren't rappers. And it unfortunately, they didn't. Our schedules were just crazy, and so. But I love the idea so much, and so I just tweaked it. And I wanted to pay homage to all the stuff that I love when it comes to fantasy films like Lord of the Rings, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I played Dungeons and Dragons. It's funny, that's why I got all back into that world during the pandemic, and I was playing Dungeons and Dragons with execs from the CW and actors.
How
and
cool
like
is
it was
that?
crazy. It was we were all on Zoom just playing. And it was just fun. Like I had gotten in, one of my friends who's an actor, and he's kind of blowing up right now. Shout out to Chad.
Shout out Chad.
And he
shouting out a lot of people.
I'm shouting out. I got to. But he introduced me to this world, and within all of that, I was like, man, like I would love, again, same thing, Dungeons and Dragons, all of those fantasy worlds. We don't see it. We don't see us.
Dungeons and Dragons has been a theme lately. I don't know if it's because we're like in the fall season. I don't know I don't know. It's been a theme lately, and I've never played it. Like for me, when it comes to like video gamey or like animation kind of stuff, my extent when it comes to animation is like Bugs Bunny and like Disney Pixar. I love a lot of Disney Pixar stuff. And then video games is like Miss Pac-Man or just regular Pac-Man. And
keeping it old school, I like it.
That's the extent of my video game knowledge, because that in itself is also a whole other fandom. And then because they did a Dungeons and Dragons movie too recently, right?
Yeah, just recent,
yeah. And so I like Lord of the Rings. I kind of didn't get into, I got into like Star Wars.
Okay. I mean, it's all
like
of that. I mean,
Star
you got
Wars.
sci-fi, science fiction.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it's like, but now we're just starting to see us, right?
Even in Star Wars.
Even in Star Wars, like it's crazy that they're, and then it's funny to hear people get mad that they're seeing people of color, and it's like they're not, they're like, this world doesn't work, and it's like, wait, so aliens, you can have all kind of different aliens and Wookiees and shit, but then but
you can't have a black person.
You can't have a black person or an Asian person. Like what?
Right. Like how is that possible?
Yeah. It's and so and I'm glad to start seeing that things. I mean, even in the Lord of the Rings now, we gotta because they in the series Rings of Power, there's a Samoan actor, which is great. So it's like we're starting to see. And we're seeing more black and Asian characters in that Lord of the Rings franchise, and so I'm happy that this trend is happening, obviously, and so I'm kind of like even like with the project is we're kind of like falling in line with what's going on anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to create that, and I love hip hop. Hip hop has been a big part of my life, and I mean, Soul Plane was a hip hop movie, really, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, everything. I mean, whether the stuff that we write when I was writing with my writing partners or the stuff I write solo, I mean, hip hop's always got a little bit of it. There's an element of that in there. I try and do two things: one, my culture, and then hip hop, and so loving that, I wanted to take hip hop into a fantasy world, and so I created this world where music is magic, but hip hop is the most powerful form of magic, and kind of mixed. I just wanted to mix all these different like genres and worlds and pay homage to the old school guys of hip hop and the new guys too that's coming out, and just have fun with it and just do shit that we've never seen before.
Are you guys gonna include like other artists? Like
yeah, we're trying to.
Like
I mean, with this thing, like, so we're working on this project to like. everybody needs IP now, right? So we're working on this IP that to create with this.
Don't say too much.
Yeah, I got you.
We don't want anybody taking our stuff.
There you go.
Without giving us credit. Because it's not that kind of party over here.
Nah.
But anywho.
Do too much work.
Right. No. We've been down this road before.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so I'm like, even with this song, like talking with D, and then all of a sudden he pulls in Keith Shockley again. Shout out to Keith Shockley from Bomb Squad, right?
Shout out Keith. Okay.
Public Enemy. I produced it, and then to see when we went to the studio and saw.
I grew up in New York, like I don't like at a time where like hip hop was just like it was everywhere and it was culture, and if you weren't listening to it, like what were you doing with your life? Like you know what I mean? Like, and I'm just glad I grew up in the era that I did because to me, one of the ones that we don't talk about enough is like KRS-One, but that's just me, you know.
All
we
of
see
those
DMC,
guys.
we see, Public Enemy, we see, Chuck D and Flavor Flav and whatever. But I'm like, KRS-One, man. Like,
yeah, I mean, I was watching some stuff just recently, and that's one of the people like that they're giving mad props to a lot now. Like a lot of the MCs that are out there, the Big Daddy Kanes and like
Big Daddy Kane for sure, yeah,
and Rakim and all of those guys. And like I want to work with all those dudes, and I've had an opportunity to meet a lot of them throughout my career. And they're all just like the ones that I've met have been amazing. So humble and just super cool for who they are, right? Same with DMC and
Tribe Called Quest. I grew up again Queens, so it's like that. I think that might have been the first hip hop record I bought. Wow. Right? It's not that I didn't hear everything else, but that's the first one that I was like, I'm gonna take my allowance and I'm gonna buy this cassette tape, and I listened to it over and over again.
And they just got inducted.
And they just got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Shout out to Tribe Called Quest. But,
absolutely.
So it's come a long way, right?
Exactly. And so, yeah, just, it's, again, I think if you're not having fun doing what you're doing, then it's going to show. And I think that's part of it too. Like, I think that's a big part of the success that you have, especially in this business, if you're not having fun doing what you're doing. And I have a lot of fun with this because you just get to create crazy stuff. And it's a fantasy world, right? So anything goes for the most part. And so, yeah, with Chase and Warren Hutcherson, we've just like really been coming up with all these just cool things that within the world of like, we're saying like just one of the things like, DMs like different, it's like some Harry Potter shit, but with rhyming it. And like,
I've never watched Harry Potter.
I've only watched a couple of them.
And I've watched parts of it. I've been on the ride though at Universal Studios.
Just went.
Isn't it cool?
It was dope.
What I love? Actually, every Christmas, I think this is going to be like a newer tradition I've done with friends, is to go see the Harry Potter, the Christmas. They turn it into like Christmas Harry Potter.
Oh, dope.
It's so
I might have to do
cool.
that then. All right,
yeah.
I'll let you know.
We should just go.
We should just go. I'm going to be in town I'm in town, but I'll be in town for sure for that. From my birthday's right around Christmas.
That's right. Are we doing a bar crawl again?
I don't know.
Freddie would have infamous bar crawls for his birthday.
Yeah.
And it would be like 20 of us. I don't know. It kind of fluctuated throughout the day, and it would start at like noon. And by 9:00 at night, Freddie might have not remembered your name, but he like remembered your face.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, "Where are we going next?"
I would literally disappear into another dimension because I remember people couldn't. We were in that little triangle of bars and restaurants, and
there was
no
like
one
20
could
bars in like a 2-block radius,
and no one could find me, and I couldn't find
where's
anybody.
Where's Freddie? Like, where's Waldo?
I couldn't find anybody, and no one could find me. And it was like, wait, and they're like, you disappeared. I was like, no, I was there. But no, I couldn't find anybody, and they couldn't find me.
You couldn't find yourself.
I couldn't find myself. That. But it was
so
fun.
We had to send the troops out to go find you.
But it was, those were good days. But
that's right. Your birthday's coming up.
So I'm going to try. I'll try. I might do that, but we definitely should do the Universal. I was just there for Halloween nights or horror nights. That was dope. You're not a horror?
No.
Halloween? Oh. My girlfriend is, so shout out to my girlfriend. Sophia,
shout out
what's
to
up?
But I can't do... I can
it was you know what I mean. I love. I mean, I don't get scared a lot, which is I wish I could get more scared, but I don't know. I'm one of those people that's just I'm too practical, and I'm like, whatever. But it's fun.
And that's the thing. Like if I watch a horror movie or whatever, I'm like, that would never happen. That's so stupid.
They're more comedy for me.
Yes.
But I love it.
They're totally because you're like, why are you running into the woods?
Right.
And this guy's chasing you with the freaking chainsaw. Like, what sense does that make? None. Get out of the woods, girl.
But it's fun.
Anyway,
but I
fun.
got you. Yeah.
Right.
So
we totally got off topic, and that's okay.
But yeah, so Harry Potter shit. It's that type of shit.
How cool.
So yeah, we're having fun like inventing those type of things, right? And maybe I said too much. But
when
anyway.
is this coming to life? I can edit anything out. When is this coming to life? Is this coming to life? When are we going to see this?
So this IP that we're trying to create, hopefully will.
Don't give away any of your secrets.
I won't.
Okay.
But yeah, it should. We'll hopefully see it sometime in hopefully the spring, because there's an animation that we're creating off of that, off of the song that we're working on, and so yeah, I'm hoping that all of that will be done by spring, summer of 2025.
Oh, nice!
So
right around the corner.
Yeah,
it's Happy New Year. So and I always like to touch upon this, especially with people in the industry, the state of the industry and where we're at. And I know Newsom recently just said something about potentially giving California tax credits for production because the city feels, a little different right now.
Oh man, it's rough.
But how is where do you see this going? And it's easy to just be like, well, I don't know. Like I want to be really optimistic, but for people that are actually in the industry working, doing stuff, like kind of where do you think this might be going? Like, and AI playing into this, especially with what you're doing because of animation, right? So
yeah, it's a little scary. I mean, we're still trying to recover from the strike. Like right. It's crazy that like I was in the 2007 strike and it was bad, but we bounced back pretty quick, right? Mm-hmm. This strike is way different.
It feels different,
way
right?
different. And it just feels like it's, it's crazy because a lot of writers aren't working right now. There's just not a lot of shows being right. and being produced right now. And yeah, we're just hoping. I mean, the slogan right now has been "Stay alive till 25."
Is that what?
Yeah, and then some people are even trying to scare the shit out of us and say no, just exist till 26, and it's like
Jesus.
No. But okay. I'm trying to be the same as you, trying to be optimistic and just right. like, I think like people are starved for content and they want good content. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping, and I think that things are coming out, but it's you can see like with the streamers and a lot, it's like not as much as is coming out. I think is normal, and I think because they because of the strike, so hopefully that those kind of things will kind of jumpstart and get things going next year for us, and just have more shows out. But it not a lot of shows have like premiered this year. It seems like and I'm a comedy writer, so that's what's even tough is that the on the sitcom side you're not getting as much. Hour-long dramas are taking over.
Right.
They've taken over. I mean, it's been a kind of a staple. It usually is cyclical, but it hasn't. It hasn't come back around, so it's a little rough for us.
How do you feel like, social media has played into that? I talk about that a lot on here too, where people want original content. I mean, we're moving away from big studio stuff. People just want stuff that entertains them, that is good, and I might get a little whatever here, but I don't care. People want to know that who they're investing their time into are like actually about the art. They're actually good people that just want to make people laugh. That they're highlighted in that sense. There's a lot going on in hip hop right now. There's a lot going on in the industry right now, and we've been in it for a minute. We've seen the twists and turns that it's taken, and there's personally, I just feel like there's distaste for certain things right now.
I hope that kind of jumpstarts or adds a spark to what's going on, because I agree. And yeah, I really feel like and I mean you're seeing kind of a trend too where I just saw an article talking about where not a lot, but it seems like there's a trend starting, and I hope that it keeps going, where a lot of like actors, directors, and writers are funding series themselves and then selling it to the streamers.
Yeah.
Because right now, what's really kind of, I feel, killing, and so many people have said it, and I forgot who on the Emmys made a point to bring it in his acceptance speech when he won, is the networks and studios, all they want is IP. They don't want original ideas. And so, like, but we're all sitting here, like, with amazing ideas. There's so many writers in Hollywood with amazing ideas, and that no one cares about them because they're not an IP. And it's like, but everything that was an IP before was an original idea.
Right.
And especially on the TV and film sides, like, you're just rebooting all of these things that were original ideas before.
Right.
So, you know, they came from somewhere else. Like, I mean, it wasn't just this IP that just appeared, right? And I'm hoping that with this trend, and if it keeps going, that they'll start to go away from that. And it's gotten so corporate. That's what's happened. Like you're saying, the art is being lost to just numbers and going, oh, that series or this book did really well, so let's turn that into a movie or a series. But it's like, at the same time, you got all these writers, actors, directors with these ideas that, like, they came out of their brain that are unbelievably cool or fun or scary or whatever, and they're just, like, being denied because they haven't created a book or a video game or something to make it an IP.
But that's on the high level because you're in that world, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're really in that. You're talking to those people up there in those offices, and you're having pitch meetings. For everybody else that's kind of maybe not, and maybe more from the indie standpoint, a lot of independent, I don't know if you watch producer Patrick, you know, he gives great feedback on, like, what's happening in the industry and like really what's happening right now. And he's like, well, Newsom says he's going to give us his tax credit. Let's see what happens, right? And he's been like a voice for a lot of indie producers or just producers,
Dope.
right, that have worked in the industry. And so it seems like, and I've been telling all my actor friends, all my writer friends, you know, director friends, like I feel like there's, like, people are saying, consumers are saying, I don't care how many followers you have. I don't care. Like, are you a good person? You know, that's what we're moving into. Are you a good person? Do you support, you know, young talent? Do you support other talent? Are you funny? Are you engaging? Are you charismatic? That's what we want.
Right.
And because they think that that's what it used to be. And I feel like that world is collapsing. And sure, there's new technology, there's AI, there's freaking robots. Sure. But actually, the driving force behind that, what people want to consume, is original stuff from real people.
Yeah,
with real talent.
I agree, and I mean, trust me, I've been thinking a lot about that. Like you said, I may be pitching to these, you know, execs or whatever in studios, but
because you have that access,
I do have that
and
access.
you have those credits, and you have, and that's not to take anything away from your experience. I'm not saying that, but then there's this whole other subset where they're saying it's gonna go indie,
and I think it should go indie, honestly, because I think that's where you're gonna find the dope stuff right now. Because you're not gonna have corporate execs or whatever, like people who don't know the art or don't love the art, giving their notes and giving their opinions and making you do what they want because they got the money, right? But if you do it independently, it's your vision. And then at the end of the day, what I love about that is if you you either live and die on your art. Like, if it's successful or not, it's because of what you did, not because of what someone else, you know. Because I'm being on my side, when you're in that world of like creating for a network or a studio, there's so many cooks in the kitchen, and your original idea, by the time you sell it to where it goes, it is not the same thing, because there's been so many people like changing and giving their opinions, and you have to do it. They're paying you, right? And so, you know, your vision, depending on how powerful you are, but like for a guy like me who's you know, I'm on the bottom kind of thing, but you get there, like my shit's gonna change. I mean, if I'm like, you know, the indie route, I think, is right now the best route. If you want to see, you get your shit out there. You know what I mean? And then look, man, you know, like I said, we're dating ourselves a little bit, but like, you know, when we were first coming up, you couldn't edit something on your computer. You couldn't, you know, right? You couldn't shoot a movie on your flip phone. And
you can't go on TikTok and edit a whole video. You could do a whole, I think, is TikTok opening up to like 60 minutes now or something like that? Some crazy. I think I read an article, and I think it was Hollywood Reporter, actually. I've said this before, where they were like, YouTube wants to compete with Netflix. They want to have creators go on there and create original content. And again, it's like, it's part of kind of what I'm doing here too, and just like highlighting the people that are actually in the business or doing something cool and like independently going and doing it, because I think a lot of people are just bored of being like getting the same. And then, you know, it can get into messaging too, like narratives and messages. And I think people are just tired of what those narratives and messages are, because people aren't just, they're not buying into, you know, what they're being sold now. They're not just given, you know, if you know, you put out a TV show and you put out your Microphone Savage, they're going to look into you.
Yeah.
They're going to look into DMC. What are they doing as people?
Yeah.
You know, what are they into as individuals? That's what people are buying into, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, I mean, it also keeps you on your P's and Q's, right? You got to make sure you are. I mean, but yeah, for sure. And you want to be able to buy into
we're skirting around
that.
the issue because there's so much going on in hip hop right now, and there's so much. You know, I'll just say this just to not avoid it. It's, you know, I grew up in that world, and I grew up as a dancer in that world, and I feel like, you know, as
That's
much
your
as
world. Yeah.
that is my world, and it's disheartening to see. It is to know. Is heartbreaking, because I grew up listening to Run DMC. I grew up listening to KRS-One, Tribe Called Quest. And then for it to evolve into something bigger and, you know, this thing, and it's like these guys and they're touring and they're, you know, Biggie and Pac and all this, and we're here now.
Yeah.
It's disheartening. As a dancer, I never saw that, but it was so close to me. And, you know, I think there's a lot of us in the industry, and as dancers, as backup dancers, we might have been exposed to that world, but not to that, and not to that level. And it's just heartbreaking that for a music genre that I love so much and grew up listening to, and had these guys they almost came across, whether I met them or not, or work with them or not, they were like these big brothers, you know, for us. They were our voice in our neighborhoods, right?
Yeah.
And so to be here now, it is very, it's just disheartening. It really does break my heart.
Yeah.
Because it was ours.
Yeah.
It was ours. It was the one thing we had. And this is what it is now?
Yeah. But I will say the thing that kind of gives me a lot of hope is just this year especially. I mean, you know, it was cool to be, I got to be in New York because working with DMC. I got to be in New York last year for the 50th anniversary at Yankee Stadium. It was pretty amazing. Yeah. There were so many other concerts. I wish I could have caught all of them, but go
Yankees. I think they're going to lose this series, but whatever. I'm a Dodger fan if the Yankees weren't playing.
But I mean, this year though, the thing that is giving me a little bit of hope is like just the hip hop that's coming out this year. I mean, you got Rakim dropping stuff, Big Daddy Kane dropping stuff,
Big Daddy Kane's dropping something new?
Yeah, Nas, and a lot of these old school guys like reinventing themselves and coming out with amazing music. Like I love Rakim's new album, right? And he's got so many dope guest spots on there with them, and like seeing a lot of these MC Light's got some new stuff. Like, so we're seeing a lot of that too. It's just,
the thing is, it's the messaging.
Yeah.
The reason I still listen to Tribe Called Quest is because it's not evil. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not being, it's positive, it's uplifting, it's, you know, so I haven't tapped into the Rakim album. I need to tap into that stuff. You know, it's just, there's no hidden message, there's no whatever. So I'm hoping, like, even what you're doing with DMC, like, it's kind of like there's a glimmer of hope in that sense.
Thanks.
For me, you know, especially for kids, because my nieces, my nephews, like my little ones that I have around me, you know, I want to be like, oh, look, check this out. You know what I mean? Like, you know, learn your ABCs to a hip hop song. I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
no, I mean, I think like what you're saying is, because you got me thinking, the one thing that I think that was so dope when we were coming up and throughout the 90s, even 2000s, early 2000s, was there were so many genres within hip hop, and I know they're there, but they're not, like, you have to really search it now instead of it just being there. Yeah. I mean, you had party hip hop, you had like conscious hip hop and Kid and Play, and then the conscious stuff with KRS, but kind of gangster, and then you had like Public Enemy, and then like
even Tupac,
like you had all of those different like subgenres within hip hop that were so amazing. And it just feels like, you know, it's become corporate. The corporate side of things is, again, just kind of like flooded them with one kind of hip hop, and that's it. Like that's what's so readily available. You have to go and kind of find the other stuff. But I'm trying to, like, you know, keep an open mind, especially working in this business, and like it also makes me wonder, like this new generations that's coming out, like the stuff that this is their voice, like that. I mean, hip hop has always been about our voice, right, and about the voice of like of the generation that and it feels like their voice is just or like the things that they're talking about. It's a little sad sometimes, just because of their viewpoints on things a little bit. And I mean, as part of it is also just the state of what's going on in this world, which kind of sucks, right? We got a big election. I mean? But yeah, it seems like I'll say it's, you know, it seems like hypocrisy seems like the big word, or it seems like it blankets a lot of what's going on in so much of popular everything.
And I think people are waking up.
I
really
so.
I really do believe consciousness. People are waking up. People are seeing what am I investing my time into? Whether that's listening to a song, whether that's spending my money on something, whether that's actually going to go watch a movie in the theater. Like, what am I spending my money on and why?
Yeah.
You know, like they really want to know that either they're going to be really entertained or that they're giving their money to something that like maybe uplifts them, maybe feels better, right? I think because of everything that we're going on, everything that we're seeing in the world. I just, you know, I think as a creator and at like what you're doing, like, and what you do, you've always kind of been on the up and up in that side, especially like kids programming, right? Like it's important, right? To know that, and to know that there's people like you behind the scenes kind of going, no, like, you know, I'm an upstanding person, you know, and I have a passion for this. I have a passion for writing and hip hop and the culture and what it means. And of course, passing it down to like generations to come, and kind of like what that looks like for them. And, you know, could they take something away where they go, yeah, I remember when I was a kid and I watched Microphone Savage and I learned so much about hip hop that I didn't know. And that's why hip hop's important to me, right? 20 years from now, right? Like, and a lot about what I talk about on this show too is, you know, being in a race of your own, right? Finding those moments where you're going up, you're going down, you plateau sometimes, there's tumbleweed moments. You know, what would you say to somebody that whether they want to break into screenwriting or whether that's for film, television, animation, you know, what would be something that you would give them as like a feedback, as like...
I mean, look, I've had all of those moments that you said. I mean, we've been in it for a minute, right?
Yeah. And how do you find yourself when you get in those moments? How do you get yourself out of that?
I mean, shoot. I mean, there's been a lot of dark moments in my career just because of this, you know, things happen, right? And it's really, as corny as it sounds, it's just having that belief in yourself, right? And being self-aware and like knowing, like, you know, knowing that the stuff that you're doing is good, right? And holding yourself to a standard, like making sure that like, I know this stuff is just as good as what's on TV or what's in a movie, and also having that thick skin to basically have your peers like, you know, let you know like, yeah, this is dope, or nah, this ain't dope, and being able to accept those things, because I find a lot of times lately with reading young screenwriters or stuff, like I'll give them some, you know, critiques or notes on their script, and they don't.
Take it?
They don't take it. Like they get offended. Like they were hoping that I was just gonna say this is the greatest thing ever, and it's like, you know, hey, you know, you've written 2 scripts in your life. Like,
calm down.
Like, you know, and it's not. I went through that. You know what I mean? And so I get all that, but I think it's that belief in yourself, and you. It's a. I mean, I take it from boxing when I was fighting. It's like you don't give up. I just can't give up. I mean, it may take forever, and for me, it you know, it was like 5 years out of film school, but I literally like lived, eat and breathed like screenwriting and making films, and like for those 5 years, it was just like I lost a relationship over it because I was just so obsessed dedicated and obsessed with, you know, I wanted this to be my career, and And so, and it, I was blessed enough that we were sold a script, and with me and my writing partner sold a script, and I mean we've gone through the ups and downs, but at the end of the day, it's like I got in. I know I'm talented, and if you haven't gotten in, just know that you got to take every advantage of even your failures, because that just makes you realize what you did wrong so you can make it better, right? And look at it that way. I mean, you see so many of these things on social media now, on Instagram or whatever, TikTok, people like, it's good to fail, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, at the end of the day, it sucks to fail, but you got to have that perspective of like, okay, I failed. Why did I fail in this situation? And then, once what are you going to do? Sit there and quit? I mean, if you quit, then that's on you. But I just don't want to be that guy to give up. And I just got to keep doing what I'm doing. I mean, keep doing what you're doing and have that passion. Let that passion kind of fuel you.
I think, people, and, as a dancer, like it's the same thing. It's like you live, eat, breathe. It becomes you. It becomes your life. It takes over. And it's the only thing you want to do, and it's your passion, and you have that drive for that. So I think that that's great.
It was we're in that. I was in that dancer world, not as a dancer, but I was in that dancer world for a while, and so I got to. I mean, that's how I met you too, and like we have so many mutual friends, and it's like we all were just like it becomes your life, but it's because you're doing what you want to do, and you're having fun doing it, and like if you get to do that and make a living out of it, I mean, that's what I chase, is like to do this. I get to get paid for this shit, and I'm like, man, this is amazing. But it was a lot of hard work. I mean, and I think that's the thing that you just I would say is, don't expect this. Some of us get lucky and hit the lottery real quick, right? With one script, all of a sudden everybody's like, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing. Good for you. And I hope that happens for anybody. But
most of the time,
it ain't gonna be that way, and you just have to be prepared. And then if it does happen, great. But at the same time, be prepared that you're gonna have to put in a crazy amount of work.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, you're learning your craft as you're doing it. I'm sure when you were dancing, it's like you were learning to be a better dancer every time you went out for auditions and this and that. Like you had to be, I mean, you didn't get everything you went out for.
Yeah, no, I didn't. But that's what built the character.
Right.
That's what built, persistence.
Yeah.
That's what built the dedication, and the discipline came from classes and staying up on my classes, and whose class did I need to take, and, did I need to brush up on something? You get to a certain point where discipline is just as important.
Absolutely.
Right?
And then the other thing that you just made me think of when you said that is when within your classes and whose classes you're taking and stuff, right, is one of the first things I learned when I was getting into this business. I got really lucky to have a mentor who was a really good friend, but he had played in the NFL, and then he got injured like in his first or second year playing, and so like he had to transition, right, and to a whole new career. And but while he saw me coming up in film school, and we had mutual friends, and the thing that he said to me was like, most important thing in this business, or any business, but definitely in Hollywood, are your relationships. And he's like, make sure that your networking is really gonna be and that I mean, it's absolutely true. Like the networks that I've built in within my career have paid dividends on, like, at times when I never thought, like some of the jobs I got when I thought I was at my lowest came from people that were just, I had met or worked with, and just were like, yo, I run into them or whatever, and they're like, yo, what you doing? I'm like, man, I'm still looking for a gig or whatever. Like, yo, I got you. Actually, let me, and like those kind of things. But it's about making those relationships, and for me, I will say it's an even bigger burden because I'm the only Chamorro from my islands in Hollywood, right?
Yeah. And
like I say that because like I gotta be the nicest motherfucker to everybody. I am anyway, but at the same time, it's like I don't want, like, I'm probably a lot of times the first person you'll ever meet from Guam, and so I don't want you to be like, oh, those motherfuckers from Guam are assholes. Right, I'm gonna fuck with them.
Yeah, you're carrying your community with you.
Yeah. And so
your heritage, your culture.
Yeah, it's a big part of who I am, and it makes me who I am, right?
Yeah.
And so I want to be able to also like represent, right? But in doing that, it also helps me out because like people know how I'm genuine, and then those networks just like those relationships are going to pay dividends, and it's about like having and it's just surrounding yourself with people who are like minded, right? Because then everybody kind of helps each other out. Yeah. I saw that in the dancing world, and the way y'all would just...
Somebody said that like-mindedness was not, it seemed like a separatist kind of thing, and I disagree. I feel like saying that means that you meet someone who's on the same page as you, that really kind of gets it and gets where you're going and wants to help and wants to see you grow too.
Right.
Too many people in the world today want to take and not reciprocate.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then act like it's theirs,
Yeah. But you want those people. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. So it's it's interesting because even from those moments you learn and you go, oh, I have that much of an influence. You know what I mean? I have that much of an impact. As small as my following may be, or as small as my project might be, it might not have somebody attached. It might not, but I still have an impact because people like it so much that they're actually coming to me for the idea, for the inspiration.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because they know you about some shit.
Right. And so, but that I think in the industry, then that's a whole other conversation. That can really kind of also kind of play into, if you're not disciplined, if you're not, kind of on your P's and Q's, how that could really mess with some stuff. But, I'm really excited that I had you here, Freddie. Thank you so much. I'm really excited about your Microphone Savage. I can't wait to hear and see more.
Oh, for sure.
With you and DMC. Congrats with that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for having me on. This is dope.
Yeah, it is. Well, we'll have back Kevin, who was, who I've also, said on one of my episodes was like, you need to, where's the alcohol? And I was like, okay. So then, he promised to come back. So if you promise to come back, we can totally do like shots
all day.
Something.
Well, we were, you.
Well, your podcast, which was like cocktails, movies and stuff.
Right.
And we'd always, that's what we would do.
Was doing that. Yeah.
Cocktails, movies, and talk about stuff.
And stuff. But
so I appreciate it. Yeah.
Oh, man, this is dope. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, Freddie.
And I'm excited for what you're doing. Seriously, this is, same thing. Like I've seen you grow and just always, just constantly are like creating and like and then now you're here and this is dope. This is dope. So I'm excited. Yeah,
I appreciate that. Yeah, I think it's about the evolution, and
we've known each other for so long. It's like just to see how we both still doing it and still creating and still being successful.
Yeah, and still impacting people, still inspiring people. Social media has really helped with that. With kind of being a sounding board almost to like seeing the types of people that you inspire that love to come to watch your content. Follow you, even though you don't know that they're following you.
Yeah.
But they are. And watching your stuff and being inspired by it says a lot. And I think it says a lot about you just as a talent too. So I appreciate that too. Because
thank you.
We're kind of like in the same boat in that sense.
100 for real.
Yeah. Congratulations on everything. Yes.
You too.
Thank you. And so this is Virgie Rodriguez for A Race of Your Own. Remember to subscribe, leave some comments down below. Do you want to hear more? What do you want to know about screenwriting? What do you want to know about the industry? Leave in the comments below and see you soon. Peace.
Peace.
Yay.
Thanks, Verge.